The recorder screamed before anyone did. A raw, human voice burst out of the static, close and wet, as if lips were pressed against the microphone. "Don't turn around." The hallway behind me went cold, colder than the winter air leaking through the broken windows, and every hair on my arms lifted at once. I knew that voice. I had heard it before. It was my own. If you feel that tight pull in your chest right now, stay with me, tap like, subscribe, and don't leave, because what we captured inside this house does not let people walk away unchanged. The red light on the audio recorder blinked, steady and calm, mocking my shaking hands. Dust hung in the beam of my flashlight, frozen like stars. This was supposed to be a controlled investigation, a clean night of sound capture inside one of the most active locations we had ever entered. The kind of place people whisper about online, the kind of place that ends up on shows like Zak Bagans 2025. Ghost Adventures. 6 most terrifying real ghost voices captured in the brand new season. The kind of place where voices do not stay on tape. The house stood alone outside a dying mining town in Nevada. Wood rotted gray, roof sagging like a broken spine. Wind pressed against the walls and slipped through the cracks, making the structure breathe. Every step inside felt like stepping on a memory that wanted to scream. We were 3, me, Aaron, and Lisa spread through the first floor, lights low, cameras rolling, no music, no tricks. Just silence and the sound of our own fear. "Did you hear that back?" Aaron whispered from the kitchen doorway. I didn't answer. The recorder was still playing, rewinding itself as if touched by invisible fingers. The same phrase came again, clearer this time. "Don't turn around." Lisa's breath hitched. That's you," she said. "That's your voice." I swallowed hard. I never said that. The temperature dropped fast, so fast my breath fogged. The hallway darkened, not from lack of light, but as if something thick slid between us and the air. I felt watched, counted, measured. This house didn't rush, it waited. We moved deeper, pulled forward by that voice like a hook in the gut. The living room floor was sunken in the middle, furniture long gone, but deep scratches ran along the walls, shoulder height, like something had been dragged back and forth again and again. Every scrape whispered when the wind moved, a soft chorus of pain. Lisa set a second recorder on the floor. "If anyone is here," she said, voice steady but thin, "we want to hear you. You can speak into this device." Silence answered. Thick, heavy, the kind that presses on your ears. Then a child laughed. It came from upstairs, not echoing, not distant, right above us. Aaron's flashlight jumped. "Nope," he said softly. "That's not okay." We climbed anyway. Each step creaked, complaining under our weight. The laughter faded into slow breathing. At the top of the stairs, the hallway narrowed, doors lining both sides like closed eyes. One door at the end stood open. Inside was a small bedroom, peeling wallpaper, a rusted bed frame. The air smelled sweet and rotten at the same time. The recorder in my hand crackled, without being touched. "Help me," a whisper said. Lisa gasped. That wasn't me. The whisper came again, layered now, multiple voices sliding over each other, all begging, all close. My head ran, pressure building behind my eyes. I felt something brush my shoulder, ice-cold fingers that lingered too long. At that moment, if you're listening with headphones, this is where you lean in, stay with us. Because this is where the house started to respond to attention. And every subscribe, every comment, every shared breath seemed to make it stronger. The door behind us slammed shut. Aaron ran for it, hitting the wood hard. "It's locked." The lights flickered. For a split second, the room was lit by something else. A pale glow that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. Shapes moved inside it tall. Thin silhouettes pressed against the walls. Mouths opened too wide. Soundless screams carved into their faces. The recorder screamed again. This time it wasn't my voice. It was dozens. Men, women, children. Crying, laughing, whispering, shouting over each other in a storm of sound that drilled straight into my skull. Words overlapped, but one phrase cut through, repeated again and again like a command. The bed frame rattled. The mattress, long gone, left deep impressions as if invisible bodies lay down all at once. Lisa fell to her knees, hands over her ears, sobbing. Blood trickled from Aaron's nose, dark against his skin. I shouted, "We're leaving!" But my voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. The door handle twisted on its own, slow, careful, click. The door opened. The hallway beyond was wrong. Longer than before. Darker. The walls pulsed gently, like something breathing just under the surface. At the far end stood a figure, tall and bent, its head tilted at an impossible angle. It spoke without moving its mouth. "You brought them back," it said. My recorder dropped from my hand, hitting the floor, still recording, still blinking red. Aaron grabbed my arm. "Run." We ran. The hallway stretched, footsteps echoing too many times like a crowd chasing us. Doors flew open as we passed, hands reaching out, nails scraping, voices begging us not to leave them alone again. The air screamed. The house screamed. The stairs appeared suddenly, twisting down into darkness. We took them two at a time, falling more than running. At the bottom, the front door stood open, moonlight spilling in like salvation. Just as we reached it, the child laughed again, right behind us. I turned against every instinct, screaming not to, and saw the figure inches from my face. Its skin pale as ash, eyes empty, mouth opening wider and wider as it leaned in to whisper my name. And the recorder on the floor began to play a new voice saying, "This one stays. This one stays." The words slid into my head like hooks. And before I could scream, the figure's mouth split wider than skin should allow. Cold poured into me, not just on my face or chest, but deep inside, filling my lungs, my thoughts, my memories. I couldn't move. Aaron's grip vanished from my arm, as if my body no longer belonged to me. The house went silent. Not empty silence, listening silence. The figure's face blurred inches from mine. Its eyes were pits, endless and hungry. Inside them, I saw flashes that were not visions but experiences. Miners choking in collapsed tunnels, women clawing at locked doors, children crying until their voices broke and turned into whispers. Every sound we had captured on tape was still alive here, looping forever. Lisa screamed my name. The sound yanked me back, just enough to feel my feet again. I staggered backward, crashing into the wall. The figure recoiled like it had been burned. Its mouth snapped shut, and for a heartbeat, it looked almost human-tired, furious, desperate. "Don't take him," it hissed, the voices inside it arguing over every word. Aaron slammed into me, dragging me toward the door. "Move! Now!" We burst through the doorway into the yard. The cold night air hit like a slap. The house loomed behind us, windows dark, innocent, as if nothing had happened inside. I fell to my knees, coughing, retching, trying to get the smell of rot out of my lungs. The front door slammed shut on its own. Lisa collapsed beside me, shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Aaron paced in tight circles, wiping blood from his nose, laughing and crying at the same time. "We got it," he kept saying. We got out. My recorder lay just inside the doorway, visible through the cracked glass, its red light still blinking, recording. "No," I whispered. "It's not done." As if hearing me, the recorder's speaker crackled. Static bled into the night air, loud and sharp. Then a single voice emerged, calm and close. "Come back." The yard lights flickered. The wind died. Even the insects went quiet. Lisa grabbed my jacket. "We leave." "We don't listen." "That's how this works." I nodded, but my eyes stayed locked on the recorder. Something inside me pulled toward it, a tight thread winding around my chest. The figure's words echoed again in my skull. "This one stays." Aaron followed my gaze. "We can't," he said. "Not for equipment." The recorder clicked. Playback restarted. This time, the voice was Lisa's, crying, begging. "I don't want to be alone," the recording said, her exact tone, her exact breath pattern. "Please, please come back." Lisa froze, her face drained of color. "I never said that," she whispered. Behind us, the house exhaled. The front door creaked open, slow, inviting. If you're still listening right now, don't look away. This is where everything changed. Where attention fed the house, where every second you stayed made what followed stronger and closer than it had ever been before. Aaron swore under his breath. "It's copying us." "No," I said. The pull in my chest tightened. "It's collecting us." The yard lights went out completely, plunging us into moonlit darkness. The open doorway was a black rectangle, deeper than night, swallowing the porch around it. From inside came soft footsteps, many of them, pacing back and forth, just out of sight. Lisa backed away. "We go to the van." We turned. The van was gone. Not driven away. Not broken into. Gone, like it had never been there. Tire tracks stopped abruptly in the dirt, ending in nothing. The house laughed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It was satisfied. The recorder slid across the porch by itself, inching closer to the edge, closer to us. The red light blinked faster, matching my heartbeat. As it reached the step, it tipped over and fell into the dirt at my feet. I picked it up without thinking. The moment my fingers touched it, the yard vanished. I was back inside. Not physically, my body was still outside, but my mind dropped through the floor, pulled into the house's memory. I stood in the hallway again, except it was full now. People lined the walls, dozens of them, heads bowed, faces blurred. They looked up as one when they sensed me. Hope flared in their eyes. "You can hear us," they whispered together. The tall figure emerged from the end of the hall. "He belongs to us now," it said. "He listens." "No," I said, and my voice echoed with theirs, layered and wrong. "I don't." The figure tilted its head. "You already did." The recorder in my hand played back the very first sound we had captured that night. My voice, calm, confident. "If anyone is here, we want to hear you." The spirits surged forward. I gasped and dropped the recorder. The vision shattered. I was back in the yard on my knees, hands empty. Aaron and Lisa stared at me in horror. "You were smiling," Aaron said. "You were talking to it." "I didn't." I stopped. My throat burned. My voice felt stretched then, not fully mine. From inside the house came a knock. 3 slow raps against the doorframe. Lisa sobbed. "It's calling us." "No," Aaron said, but his voice shook. "It's calling him." The door began to close by itself, inch by inch, like a mouth deciding whether to bite. As it moved, faces appeared in the darkness behind it, pressed together, watching, waiting. The tall figure stepped forward into view one last time. It raised a hand, not threatening, not angry, claiming, "You opened the door," it said softly. "Now listen." The recorder at my feet clicked on again without being touched, and as the door slammed shut, every voice we had ever captured poured out at once, chanting my name louder and louder until the sound drowned out. Lisa screamed, and the ground beneath us began to shake. The ground beneath us began to shake. It wasn't like an earthquake. It pulsed, rhythmic, deliberate, as if something massive underneath the dirt was breathing, waking up. The chanting from the recorder grew louder, vibrating through my bones. My teeth clacking as the sound drilled into me from the outside and the inside at the same time. Aaron grabbed my shoulders. "Snap out of it," he yelled, shaking me hard. "Listen to me." I tried to focus on his face, but it kept slipping, doubling, like I was seeing him through water. The house loomed behind him, windows glowing faintly now, one by one, like eyes opening in the dark. Lisa backed away until she tripped over something and fell. "The ground!" she cried. "It's moving." Cracks split the dirt at our feet. Cold air rushed up from below, carrying that same sweet, rotten smell. From the fissures came whispers, not loud enough to hear clearly, but heavy enough to feel, pressing against my legs, wrapping around my ankles like fingers. The recorder screamed again. This time it wasn't voices. It was breathing, slow, deep, too big to belong to a person. Aaron yanked me upright. "We have to get away from the house." "Where?" Lisa shouted. "There's nothing out here." The lights in the house flared brighter, flooding the yard with pale illumination. Shadows stretched long and wrong, bending toward the porch. I felt the pull in my chest sharpen, a steady pressure guiding me back, aligning me with the doorway like a compass needle snapping north. "No," I whispered, digging my heels into the dirt. "It wants me closer." The ground split wider. Hands emerged. Gray, cracked skin, blackened nails. Dozens of them clawed their way up, grabbing at the air, the dirt, each other. Arms followed, then shoulders. Bodies forcing themselves through openings too small to hold them, tearing free with wet, ripping sounds. Lisa screamed. The people from my vision miners, women, children, were coming out of the ground, dragged upward by the sound pouring from the recorder. Their eyes were hollow, their mouths open, whispering over one another in broken fragments. "Listen, don't leave." "Stay." Aaron pulled Lisa to her feet and shoved her behind him. "Run!" We ran. Not away from the house, around it. The yard twisted, stretching, folding back on itself. No matter how fast we moved, the porch stayed in our peripheral vision, always just there, just behind us. The spirits clawed forward, dragging their broken bodies across the ground, leaving trails of blackened earth that smoked faintly. I stumbled, the recorder slipping from my hand again. The moment it hit the ground, everything stopped. The spirits froze mid-crawl. The whispers cut off. The house went dark, windows snapping shut like blinking eyes. Silence slammed down so hard it hurt. I stood there, gasping, heart pounding. Aaron stared around us, chest heaving. "What did you do?" "I dropped it," I said. Lisa pointed at the recorder. It was sinking. The dirt beneath it softened, liquefying, pulling the device down inch by inch. The red light blinked faster, erratic now, like a panicked pulse. As it descended, the ground sealed over it, leaving only a faint depression behind. The silence deepened. Then came applause. Slow, polite, mocking. It echoed from the house, from the walls, from inside my head. "Well done," the tall figure said, its voice drifting across the yard without a body attached to it. "You learned." The porch light flicked on. The front door opened again. Inside, the hallway looked normal. Too normal. Clean lines, no stretching walls, no pulsing shadows. Just a quiet, empty house waiting patiently. Aaron shook his head. No way. "We don't go back in." "I don't think we have a choice," I said. Lisa grabbed my arm. "What are you talking about?" I opened my mouth to answer and froze. Sound was gone. Not muffled. Gone completely. My ears rang with pressure, like I was underwater, but there was no noise to go with it. I could see Aaron shouting, his mouth open wide, veins standing out in his neck, but I heard nothing. Lisa's sobbing face twisted in terror, silent. Then the sound came back all at once. Not the yard, not the wind. Voices, inside my head. "They can't hear us like you can." The tall figure stood at the edge of the porch now, fully visible. Up close, it looked less like a monster and more like a man stretched beyond his limits, too tall, limbs too long, skin pulled tight over sharp angles. Its eyes were ancient, filled with layers of watching. "You carry the door," it said to me. "Your voice opened it. Your attention keeps it open." I shook my head violently. "I won't help you." It smiled, and that was worse than the screaming. "You already are." The house lights surged. From every window poured our sound. EVPs from other investigations, radio clips, whispered confessions, laughter, sobbing, prayers. Voices stacked on voices, forming a wall of noise that rolled over the yard. Aaron clutched his head and dropped to his knees. Lisa screamed, hands over her ears, blood streaking from her nose. I stood there untouched, listening. The realization hit me like ice water. It wasn't hurting me because it didn't need to. "You're filtering it," the figure said gently. "You translate. You decide who hears us." "No," I whispered, but my voice carried, clear and strong, slicing through the noise. The sounds bent around my words, responding. The house leaned toward me. The front door swung wider. Behind me, Aaron looked up, eyes wild. "What's happening to you?" I wanted to tell him I was scared, that I didn't want this. That every sound felt louder, richer, alive in a way I had never experienced before. That part of me understood the house now, felt its hunger, its loneliness, its endless need to be heard. Instead, I said, "I think it chose me." The tall figure stepped back, giving me a clear path to the porch. "Come inside," it said, "just for a moment. Let them hear through you." The voices swelled, pleading, seductive. Aaron struggled to his feet and lunged for me. "Don't you dare!" I turned toward him, and for a split second, I saw myself reflected in his eyes. My mouth was smiling. I felt my feet move, one step at a time, toward the open door, the noise rising with each step, the house vibrating in anticipation. And as my hand lifted toward the doorframe, the recorder's red light suddenly blinked back on beneath the dirt. And a new voice burst through the ground, screaming a warning in my own voice that said, "If I cross this line, there's no coming back. If I cross this line, there's no coming back." The warning echoed through the yard, tearing out of the ground like a trapped animal. The dirt above the buried recorder bulged and split, vibrating with the force of that single sentence. The sound hit me harder than any scream before it. My feet locked in place inches from the porch. The tall figure stiffened. For the first time, it looked uncertain. Aaron's hand closed around my wrist, rough and desperate. "You hear that?" he shouted. "That was you. That was really you." The voices pouring from the house faltered, wobbling like a damaged signal. Windows flickered, light surging and dying in uneven pulses. The spirits frozen in the yard twitched, their mouths opening and closing without sound, confused, angry. The figure turned its head slowly, listening not to the house but to me. "You're learning," it said. "Good, fear sharpens the signal. I won't go in," I said. My voice shook, but it was still mine. "You don't get to keep me." The figure's smile thinned. "You already crossed the line when you asked us to speak." The ground shuddered again, harder this time. The buried recorder burst free, launched upward in a spray of dirt and stones. It landed between us with a dull crack, casing split, red light still burning stubbornly through the damage. Playback rolled without buttons, without power. But the voice was different now. It was calm, clear, adult. "Listen carefully," it said. "The house lies." The tall figure recoiled as if struck. "That voice doesn't belong to you," it snapped, anger bleeding through its controlled tone. The recorder continued. "This place doesn't trap people. It convinces them to stay." Images flooded my mind, people arriving curious, scared, grieving, searching for answers. People hearing familiar voices, feeling understood, feeling needed, choosing, step by step, not to leave. The spirits in the yard weren't dragged out of the ground. They were reaching back. Lisa stared at the recorder, tears streaming down her face. "Who is that?" I knew without knowing how. "Someone who left," the house roared. Not sound pressure. A wave of force slammed into us, knocking Aaron and Lisa flat. I staggered but stayed upright, every nerve screaming as the house pushed against my mind, trying to drown out the recorder's voice. The tall figure lunged forward, shadow stretching unnaturally long. "Enough!" I grabbed the recorder and held it to my chest. The moment I did, the voices surged again, but this time they weren't pleading. They were furious. "Let us speak. He's ours." "You promised." "I didn't promise anything," I shouted. The porch boards splintered as the figure slammed its foot down. The house bent inward, walls groaning, windows shattering outward in a rain of glass that froze midair, suspended like glittering teeth. "You think you're special?" the figure snarled. "You're just louder." "Then why are you scared?" I shot back. Silence punched through the chaos. The suspended glass dropped all at once, crashing into the dirt around us. The house dimmed, lights flickering weakly. The recorder buzzed, struggling. "The door isn't the house," the calm voice said. "It's him." I looked at the tall figure. Really looked. It wasn't the house's master. It was its mouth. "You don't keep them," I said slowly. "You need them. You need someone to carry the sound." The figure's eyes darkened. "And now that's you." "No," I said, lifting the recorder. "It was you." I pressed play again. Every EVP we had captured that night poured out, but instead of chaos, the sounds aligned, layered into a single overwhelming wave aimed straight at the figure. It staggered, clutching its head as the voices turned on it, screaming not to be heard, but to be free. The house began to crack, not wall space. The air tore open in thin, jagged lines, like reality itself was splitting under the strain. The spirits in the yard screamed as one, not in pain, but in panic. The figure shrieked, its voice breaking into dozens. "Stop! You don't understand what happens if I break." "I understand," I said, though terror flooded every word. "You disappear." The figure collapsed to its knees, form flickering, stretching, unraveling like smoke in a storm. The house shuddered violently, beams snapping, the porch sagging beneath the sudden loss of control. Aaron crawled toward me, shouting something I couldn't hear over the roar. Lisa dragged herself upright, eyes wide with disbelief. The recorder grew hot in my hands, vibrating violently. The calm voice returned one last time, strained now. "If he goes, the door closes. But someone has to shut it." I looked at the house, at the open doorway, at the figure dissolving into shadows. And then I felt another pull, deeper than before, not demanding, not seductive, responsible. Aaron grabbed my jacket again. Desperation etched into his face. "Don't. Whatever you're thinking, don't." I met his eyes. "If I don't, it stays open." The house let out a long, wounded groan. The doorway began to collapse inward, folding in on itself like a wound trying to heal. The spirits screamed as they were dragged backward, their hands clawing at the air, at me. The figure reached out, its arm breaking apart mid-motion. "You can't replace me," it gasped. "You'll fade. You'll forget." "Maybe," I said, stepping forward as the pull wrapped around my chest again. "But they'll be quiet." The porch boards creaked under my weight. The air thickened, pressing against me from all sides. The recorder screamed, red light flashing erratically, seconds from dying. Behind me, Aaron and Lisa screamed my name. Ahead of me, the collapsing doorway flared with blinding white light, swallowing the shadows, the voices, the figure's final furious howl. I took one more step toward the threshold, the sound cutting out abruptly as the recorder's light went dark in my hands, and just as the doorway began to seal completely, a new voice whispered right behind my ear, soft and amused. Did you really think there was only one door? Did you really think there was only one door? The whisper slid across my skin, warm where everything else was cold. It did not come from the house. It did not come from the yard. It came from inside my head, from the same place where the voices had learned to gather. The blinding light at the doorway flickered. The collapse slowed. I froze mid-step. Behind me, Aaron shouted my name again, his voice cracking, but it sounded distant now, like a recording played from another room. Lisa was crying openly, her sobs sharp and panicked, but they felt thin, unreal, already slipping away. The whisper returned, closer. You felt it, didn't you? The quiet when they stopped screaming. I swallowed. My throat burned. Who are you? A presence shifted inside me, subtle and precise, like someone adjusting a microphone. Someone who learned what you're learning now. Someone who didn't disappear. The light at the doorway dimmed further, shadows creeping back along the edges. The house groaned, confused, resisting, as if it sensed the balance tipping away from it. You lied, I said. You said shutting it would end this. It ends this door, the voice replied calmly. Not the others. Images flooded my mind without warning. Not just this house, but hundreds of places, hospitals after midnight, abandoned schools, motel rooms where someone died unnoticed, quiet suburban homes where grief never left, doors everywhere, thin places where sound learned how to stay. You think they stop talking when no one listens? The voice asked. They just wait for better ears. The recorder in my hand was dead now, cold and useless, but I didn't need it anymore. I could hear everything without it. The wind across the yard carried whispers. The dirt beneath my feet hummed with memory. Even Aaron's racing heart sounded loud and sharp, every beat a drum. I stepped back from the threshold. The collapsing doorway shuddered, then folded in on itself with a thunderous crack. Light vanished. Shadows snapped shut. The house screamed not in triumph, not in hunger, but in loss. The yard went still. No whispers, no chanting, no pull. Just night air and silence. Aaron reached me first, slamming into my chest, arms locking around me like I might vanish if he let go. You're here, he breathed. You're really here, Lisa followed, gripping my arm so tight it hurt. I thought she couldn't finish. Behind us, the house sagged inward, structure collapsing rapidly now. Beams snapping, walls folding. Within seconds, it crumbled into itself, a heap of rotten wood and dust, as if it had been hollow all along. The spirits were gone. The tall figure was gone. The door was gone. Aaron laughed shakily. It's over, he said. We did it. I didn't answer, because the whisper was still there. Quiet now, patient. Weeks passed. The investigation footage went viral. Clips of the recorder screaming, the chanting, the ground splitting. People argued online whether it was real, whether it was staged. The title spread everywhere. Zak Bagans 2025 Ghost Adventures. 6 most terrifying real ghost voices captured in the brand new season. People dissected every frame, every sound. But there was one thing the cameras never caught. The change. I tried to go back to normal, tried to sleep, tried to eat, tried to forget the way silence used to feel. That didn't work. At night, when the world settled, I heard things. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough. A woman crying softly through apartment walls that didn't exist. A man whispering a name over and over in an empty parking lot I passed every day. A child humming in a house with the lights off. They weren't screaming, they were waiting. I didn't tell Aaron or Lisa at first. I told myself it was stress, trauma, leftover adrenaline. But then the whispers started responding when I thought back. Not speaking, listening. One night, unable to stand it anymore, I turned on my old recorder, the backup unit we hadn't taken to the house. I placed it on the table, hands shaking. If anyone is here, I whispered, barely audible. I can hear you. The red light blinked on. Instantly, the recorder filled not with chaos, not with screams, but with a single, steady breath. Satisfied, I shut it off and stumbled back, heart racing. The whisper inside me laughed softly. See? You don't need houses anymore. I understood then. The tall figure hadn't been unique. It had been a role. A filter. A door that could walk. And now that role was empty. Unless someone filled it. I stopped recording after that. Stopped investigating. Deleted apps. Threw away equipment. I tried to drown the sounds with noise music, television, crowds, but the quiet always came back. And with it, the waiting voices. They never begged. They never threatened. They just knew I could hear them. Tonight I sit alone, lights off, recorder in front of me again. I haven't turned it on yet. My hands hover over the buttons, the red light dark, expectant. If you've listened this far, if you've felt that pull in your chest, that curiosity tightening just a little, now is the moment. Subscribe, stay with us, because attention is how doors open, and the more who listen, the clearer they become. The whisper inside me settles, pleased. I take a breath and press record.